Hello guys, it's your friend Anne here and welcome to this today's presentation, which is about growing up with the narcissistic parent and psychology, neurobiology and healing. I just make sure that this started to work. So first of all, a little bit about me shortly if there are some new subscribers and new viewers. My name is Anni. I'm from Finland, and my main support here in my channel is support all the caffeine quitters in their healing journey. I have also shared my own healing experience that started year 2020 when I did have a total caffeine crash after quitting cold turkey, and that did lead me to really deep nervous system reset, and that did lead me to heal my nervous system and heal me. I did heal from the caffeineism and all that adaptation that I have been talking about. But today in this presentation, why I have this really deep topic, and this can be very painful topic for some people also, because this nervous system healing is also means that you're gonna heal all the wounds and they just starts to come up. And that's of course the later part of the healing for many people. It's not possible even in the early recovery for many, because the system is still going so much like through other kind of healing. But I hope you get something out from this presentation, and sorry about my English. My accent is like a pretty weird, like some people say, and I hope that maybe this can help you in some way if you have had any of this kind of thing in your life, maybe with your parents, can be have some kind of narcissistic behaviors. And just remember, everybody's experience is different. And like always, I say these are things that nobody can say that this is how it is in your life or this is how it is in this person's life, because everybody's experience is different and every person is different how they experience these things. But I just have gathered here the things that also have been helping me in my own kind of healing journey when I have been starting to like face these emotions and these wounds that just have been starting to come out, and that of course helps me to live a healthy life and set healthy boundaries now when I'm a grown up. I think I'm pretty grown up. Even my brain sometimes feels like still developing 18 years old, but yeah. Okay, so let's go straight in the presentation and start from there. And I have used AI to help to make this, because otherwise I'm struggling a lot with this English. It's not so easy always, but let's see how we get through this. And welcome to the chat, by the way, if you have any thoughts on your mind, questions, or anything that you want to share or comment. So the impact of the narcissistic parent on a child: emotional instability, identity formation, and then of course my favorite that I couldn't leave without this presentation, neurobiology and healing. So we're gonna look in this topic in many perspectives, not just like one perspective. So what is the narcissistic parenting? Well, that is really good that if you don't even know that, because it can be sometimes even hard to recognize this when you are children. It can sometimes be that you come to face this thing later when you are adult. Of course, it can be that you already maybe know that very early on, but sometimes these things can be not so easy to notice. There is also different type of narcissistic, like covert narcissistics, that it's not so obvious. So that's why that kind of behavior sometimes can be kind of the behaviors can be so manipulating that child doesn't necessarily understand what is going on, but then later in the life it can kind of start to be more clear. Okay, so for example, a narcissistic parent may not always have a formal diagnosis, of course not, but usually if person is narcissistic, they don't see anything wrong with them. They see themselves as a perfect. They don't see themselves that they never do anything wrong. It's always others' fault. They see themselves that everything is always others' fault. Others, it's a children's fault. It's a this fault, that fault, that person's fault. Okay, so hi Midnight Arrow. No terve. Kiva, että sulla on toinen tili. All right, good. But their behavior often reflects traits associated with the narcissistic personality disorder. So the common characteristics include, what a word, so hard word. So, for example, seeing the child as extension of themselves. It's usually how it goes. This is like this. Of course, this is very sad. This is very sad. But we just have to understand what is going on, so we are able to heal from this stuff. We have to first understand what is going on, and then we have to still accept that that's happening. So, seeing the child as extension of themselves rather than independent individuals. Like in healthy parents, they would always love you with limitations as you are, that you are worthy, you are just lovable as you are an amazing person. That's how it should be in the healthy parenting. But in this kind of parenting, it's really not like that, unfortunately. It's not. And of course, those narcissistic parents, they have their adaptation, but that is never the reason to hurt anyone. Even they could sometimes use that, yeah, but I'm like this because I had da. But that doesn't give you the reason to treat someone badly. We have to remember that. And even we could forgive a lot of things. I have get forgiveness from God, from Jesus Christ, but it doesn't mean that we never have to accept some things or let those people continue to manipulate us. That is very important. All right, see you. Okay, so then conditional love. Conditional love is, it shouldn't be conditional love, like you are worthy when you succeed. And this is very very important to understand in this picture, like, because it's so horrible in that child's perspective. Like conditional love, like you are worthy when you succeed, meaning that okay, you can get that little bit love if you do something right, if you clean your room, it's perfect, your toys are in perfect order, then you are like good girl, or something like that. It's not what you are, it's what you do. And that's where it goes wrong. That is really where it goes wrong, because it's really should be like, no, even if your room is a mess, or no, even if your clothes are dirty, no, if you did drop that milk, you are still loving. I love you so much. You're my dear child. That doesn't unfortunately happen in this kind of relationship. It's always like you need to do more. And sometimes, because narcissistic people, they can do that love bombing. Sometimes they treat you good when they can benefit from that. So it can look like, for example, that because they are never pleased, they are just less like, what is the word? They are never fully pleased, but sometimes they are less angry or less manipulated sometimes. Okay, so that's the word that I put it. Okay, so then a strong need for admiration and control, of course, that is very, very common. And like wanting to control your life, what you're gonna do, how you're gonna, like when you are a little child, they try to control pretty much, they can control pretty much everything. But when you start to grow up, it can be like they can try to control what kind of job you wanna get, or they try to control if you have boyfriends or girlfriends, because they can be a threat to the narcissistic. So they can do sometimes everything that you wouldn't get the good relationship. They can try to destroy it. They are always like paranoid about other people. They can make up stories, lies about, for example, other parent. If they are divorced, they can blame other parent for the child, and even that other parent would be very good parent, they can just like speak bad about that. They can manipulate the children in so many way, the child in so many way, and they can a lot of control, so the child's own self cannot be really formed in a healthy way, because if there is all that manipulating and dismissing and minimizing of child's emotions, it's like a chaotic thing, because you never feel anything right. Because when you are a child, you should be able to feel all the feelings and be loved. But with this kind of bond, which is very unhealthy, sick bond, it's not healthy bond, but there is a bond because that's your caregivers there. That should be the most safe place for you. So then your own self, their own personality can kind of it's kind of not forming the way it should, because there's always that manipulation. So we're gonna see in this presentation how it can then show up in the adult life and in the younger person life. So I hope this can help you in some way. Okay, so there can be a frequent blame, shame, or guilt, and usually this can be some kind of circle. So there can be like, you are bad because this and this, or they can use some kind of manipulation of toys or money, like, well, I give you this toy if you are like this and this, but then you don't really deserve that toy. You don't deserve that toy because you are a bad girl, or you are a bad boy. You didn't deserve that. And there comes that cycle, which is very unhealthy, because child is child. Child makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. We adults, we make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. But narcissists, they think they are perfect. So it's always someone else's fault, and in this case, it's always a child's fault. Why she doesn't deserve that toy. So it makes it feel that you get a little bit that reward, like, oh, maybe today I can get this toy. I've been so good. I've been doing so good. But then it stabs you in the back, because it's like next day it stabs you in the back, because, well, I can take it away from you or something like that, because you didn't really deserve that. I just give you these examples for you so you can get the picture how it is. But many of you, if you have like this kind of past, you already know very well what I'm speaking about. All right, so then the child's emotional reality becomes secondary to the parents' needs. So unfortunately, this is how it goes. So the child's emotional reality, it should be the first one in the healthy bond, healthy family, healthy mom, dad. They should care how the child feels emotionally. What is the children's emotional reality? But it's not, because for the narcissistic person, it's all about her or all about him. All the other people are just tools how that person can use you to their this or the that or the those and the this. It's just always like that. Hi, Juhani. Yes, Christ is inside people. Ihminen on luotu, joka luotiin luomaan omaa teollista. Narsistilla ei ole Kristusta siellä. Luen antamaan rakkautella luodaan rakkaudesta käsin todellisuutta. Kyllä. Yeah, this is like there can be narcissistic people who say that they are believers, and sometimes they can even use like it against you if they, for example, say that. Or I can take one example, like for my own life, like once that narcissistic person said to me that there is devil inside me, and he started to blame me and yell me, and that's, you never do that to other person. Like that's really, really hurtful behavior. But they can use all kind of these kind of things to make you feel that you are, even if you are a believer of Jesus, like they can use it against you, like in the way that they start to shame and guilt you. I don't know if I can explain it right. Yeah, good day to you too, Juhani. It's really beautiful day. All right, so then we're gonna go in the second part, which is emotional instability and being emotionally tossed around. And just remember, some of these words are also a little bit difficult for me to English maybe pronounce. So let's see how this goes. A narcissistic parent can be unpredictable. Yeah, so it can be very unpredictable. So one moment the child is perfect. Like one moment she's like, you are just like my favorite child. I love you so much. But then the next moments, the child is disappointment. And that's where it's very, very confusing to the children. Like, but I was good minute ago, but now I'm a disappointment. So you always is like a little bit like on the edge, like what is gonna happen to the next moment? What he's gonna do now? What he's gonna do now? What he's gonna do now? So children becomes a little bit, or not a little bit. Some cases this can be really bad. Like I know the cases that this can go really, really bad. But there are variables of these examples, because there can be all kind of narcissistic behaviors. It can be just mental manipulation with words, or there can be also some physical abuse, or it can be both, and then there can be all kind of things. All right, so this creates a chronic emotional insecurity. So if we think about, the safety is always the base that we need to grow up in healthy environment. We need to have some kind of safetyness. And I also say that if you have even some people when you grow up that you can get that safetyness, it can be a grandmother, it can be a grandfather, it can be a teacher, it can be whoever it is, that you can have that healthy interaction, healthy communication, feeling safety, feeling that you are loved, accepted, and safe. It can help a lot. It can help a lot. Even there is one person. But then if there is not any of that, then it's unfortunately it can be really, really bad. But that's why it's so important that we know these things. Okay, so emotional insecurity, what happens? And the child does not learn the love. It doesn't learn that love is stable, what it should be. Love should be stable. Like I and you and everybody, we should be able to make mistakes and when we are children, and still know that, we are still loved, and it's safe to go home. It's good to go home because my mother loves me, my father loves me. But if that's not the thing, like it's not safe, it's not, you never know what kind of chaos it's gonna cause how you are, and that's the problem. Of course, the children learn that love must be earned. But God loves everybody, like unconditionally. That unconditional love, like that's so beautiful about God. But the narcissistic person doesn't. It loves themselves. They because they don't know how. They don't know how. They are adapted in that way. They don't have capability to that. That love bombing is not actual, like really caring and loving. It's using. It's using. So, and remember always your own state, that if this is something too much for you, if you are in still recovery, for example, you are in caffeine-free journey, you are in early state of withdrawal, you did fall off the mountain, you have really bad symptoms, always stay safe. And if this is something that you don't want to watch, maybe this is not even something that is not for you, always stay safe. Don't even come close to the topics that are too burdening to you. I always say that. I'm already so far from my recovery that I can kind of look these things from the far perspective and safe perspective, because I feel safe in my own state, if you know what I mean. My nervous system is already feeling very safe, so I can actually bring these things up without going in that very emotional state that happened to me a lot before in this journey, that I just went really emotional state. I started to crying, and it's nothing bad about that. That's healing too. That's big part of this healing, is that emotional chaos. It's actually very needed. It's very needed that you can be this and that and angry. And we go all the things that how it can look, because it can really look messy, and healing is messy. Healing is not never linear, like we have learned. Nervous system healing looks like bam, 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 like that. That's how the nervous system healing looks. Okay, so where we are. So what is the result of that? The child constantly monitors the parent's mood. So you as a children, you start to monitor, like, because the children are very wise, very intelligent. So they start to learn, okay, now the father is a little bit on the edge, so I should play cool, I should play this. And because the child cannot understand that the fault could be his mother's or father's, parents, it's blaming herself. The child starts to blaming herself about everything. So they become highly adaptive of people pleasing. There can be a lot of people pleasing, like how can I just be pleasing more and more and more and more, doing things that I get to be seen and heard and loved. And they can also start to be very rebel, which is really healthy. The child can be very rebellion, angry, rage, even trying to kick and hit the parents, because obviously it understands that something is wrong. And if the child doesn't get that empathic response, because child should always get the empathic response when also having harsh emotions, anger, rage, learning to find safety boundaries. There should be that emotional safety around the child, where your parent kind of helps you to regulate your nervous system with safety way. But if that regulation is very bombarding and very like how would I say, like very manipulated, very wrong way, then the children is like it becomes like very confused, and still it tries to express the emotions. The suppressed authentic emotions, that is sad that happens, because like we know, the emotions also restore in our body. That starts to happen already in early childhood. We start to restore things that is for our safety. That's how our body keeps us safe. But in healthy relationship, those emotions should be just like a river, like a flowing. We are very emotional beings. We should be able to feel and express, but if we cannot express or feel, we come tense. We come tense, and we have a survival body, so called. And you can actually see that in those kind of survival traits in a human's form. You can see in the eyes, you can see in the jaw, you can see it's all kind of tensions in the body. But that's all about the survival. So, but there is a ways that you can also like you can adapt to things, and you can adapt away to things. So this is a very beautiful thing. It's like we can adapt to survive, and then we can adapt to be in the more calm baseline again, or in safe environment. But this whatever this process is for everyone is different. Like I said, it's not like, oh, this is like your timeline is this and your timeline is that. Nobody can say that. But what I can say, that there is possible that you heal from these things, so you can live a happy life. But how and when and what it look like, that is of course like individually different. So this is also that they learn that their inner experience is unsafe. So it's not like it can be like, yeah, but I think this and I feel this, but this is not right. This is not safe. It's not safe to feel. This is like, it can be very confusing to the kid. Like, how can I be? It can feel almost like, how can I be? And sadly, it can lead to suicidal thoughts in that children life, in that sense that it can start to think that he or she is a bad kid, even it's not. You are very important, and you are all right to be loved and seen and heard as you are, as a human being. And every parent should love their children as they are, but not every parent are capable to do that. So how this insecurity develops. Is this, I'm pronouncing it right, guys? How insecurity develops. Okay, that's better. How insecurity develops. So a child's identity develops through emotional mirroring. Emotional mirroring. When there's a baby and there's mother, they have eye contact. There, of course, if they are nursing, there's a contact. There's kind of that oxytocin. It's one neurochemical, very important. By have that connect and all that. So when these feelings are ignored, criticized, or distorted, the child does not learn to trust their own perceptions. And then also, like, their internal compass becomes unclear. Like, we all should have that internal compass, like, which helps. Like it's kind of it's not anything woo-woo. It's just like how we are built to be able to kind of trust people and to live life if we have a safety baseline there. But it can be like become unclear, like where are we going, why we even are here, because like if nobody loves me, why I'm here even. Okay, so self-doubt becomes normal. It can be like you're just always doubting yourself. Like, no, I don't think I can do this. And it can be that you are asking all the time that validation. You just need that. Am I good? Am I beautiful? But of course, you don't get that from the narcissistic person, never. Because usually they never say those things to you. Or if they say something good, it's always only a moment, and that can be taken away from you. That can be taken away from you also. So That's why it's so weird and hard. So common those long-term effects include the persistent feeling of inadequacy and fear of rejection. So fear of rejection. So you can be fearful that you don't wanna even go to the relationships because you are so scared of that you will be rejected, or you are the one who will be rejecting. Okay, maybe you have some short relationships or even one night stands or whatever, how you are seeking that love, which is, of course, I don't see them as a good thing at all now, but you are afraid so much that you're gonna be hurting again. So you are hurting yourself also more and more. So difficult making decisions, that can be the one that you just, it can, I just take examples, all the examples that I have been seen, learned, heard, people stories, whatever, and my own examples sometimes, always. But this can be, for example, look like when the young people is growing up, that they don't really know what school to go, or they don't never really get a good job, they are changing jobs all the time, or it can look like very many way, or then they are just overdoers everything, like they just do over everything and anything, and but they still never feel that complete feeling that they're accepted or loved, because they always need to be better. They need to do a little bit better than that, a little bit more than that. Like that was the learned model from the childhood. So very chronic self-criticism, like can be very hard to yourself, like very never pleased to your body, never pleased how you look, never pleased anything. But that's also something that you can learn away, that you can start to see yourself as a human being and love yourself. A fragile, what is the word? Fragile. Help me with my English if there is some Americans awake. I know it's early there, but I just wanted to make this one for you because I know some of you maybe have the same stuff. So a fragile, unstable sense of self. Yeah, so that can just be a result. And personality doesn't disappear because it's of course you are still you. However you develop, you are you, and you have your own personality as a wonderful person you are, because we are all different and we all have the right to be different. We doesn't have to be like somebody tries us to be the perfect. We never, like we cannot be puppets. Like you cannot just be a puppet sitting there and now you can drink. Okay, now you can cry. No, but that's how sometimes it can almost look like if you are manipulated. I don't say that that's happening to everybody, but these are just extreme examples, like how it can feel like if you are never kind of allowed to be how you are, because somebody is trying to control and manipulate you. So we have right to be who we are. But it cannot never disappear fully, but it becomes buried under adaptation, because adaptation is always something that keeps us safe. And that's why I love this neurobiology, where we're gonna go soon. We're gonna learn how our brain and body keeps us safe. So why these personal boundaries becomes weak? Why is the question that I will always want to know the answer. So when a child's emotional or physical boundaries are repeatedly crossed, crossed, it shouldn't be like that. So they learn that their needs do not matter. But you can you can try to seek that validation for many ways, like because your needs doesn't matter. You still want your needs to be met. That's what we want, our needs to be met. I'm just laughing because my dog is snoring like crazy. She's leaving. Like, okay, so they feel they have no right to say no. So that's very sad also, like that can happen, that you have a feeling that you have no right to say no, but you do, and you have to learn that saying no, putting boundaries. That's very important part of that healing and independency. Because if you didn't have that independency as a child in the right way, it will come later, and there can be that me, because I want to do myself. I want to learn myself. I want to do this and that is very healthy. That should actually happen as a childhood when you grow up, that you are in healthy environment, supported when you have those certain age when you try to independence yourself and learn yourself to cope and manage life. Okay, so in adulthood, this may appear as like over accommodating others, and of course staying in unhealthy relationships, or just constantly going in unhealthy relationships because even the relationship dynamics are unhealthy. It's something very common for you. You cannot maybe, okay, sometimes when people have had this kind of childhood, they grow up, they are so used to that manipulation model is there so strongly, they don't see those danger signs in some people that they're attracted. They can be attracted like narcissistic persons, or they can be attracted just very like emotionally distanced persons, or just they just like are attracted to that because that feels safe. It's not anything like I'm just energizing. No, it's like what feels familiar you. That feels familiar because that's how it was. But then you learn it's not, I don't want that. I don't want that. Was when I was children, it kept me safe. These things kept me safe. Now these things, no, I need to be safe and in healthy people, with healthy people. So you don't want, you learn with that. Sometimes it takes a few takes before we learn things. So ignoring exhaustion or emotional overload. So this can also like be very common, that you are just ignoring if you are exhausted. Even you would be exhausted. It can be very exhausting to be in like that, and not being able to like feel all that in very calm place and safe place and be like accepted. So emotional overload can be something that you just ignoring that, or then what we gonna do often and without knowing even, we go to addictions, but we're gonna go there soon. So lack of boundaries is not weakness. Remember that lack of boundaries in that, it's not a weakness, it's in an early survival strategy. We have to remember why there is not those boundaries, some people. It's an early survival strategy. Is it like that? All right. So why it often turns into indifference toward the self? Like why? Well, okay, we're gonna look why. When the child repeatedly experiences emotional invalidation, like we learned, there is also repeated shame. There is repeated conditional acceptance. There is repeated all these. So they may eventually detach from themselves. Of course, that's a survival. What else can you do? Like, that's what happens. So interference becomes protective. So it can be like, I don't care about myself because I can be hurt. It's all about others, but not me. Why should it be never me? Because I don't care about myself. Or maybe it looks like you care so much others, and it's all about your giving yourself totally to others. Because you are lost somewhere there. You don't know even where you are. Where you are. But you can found the kid. Kid is that lost in the way. This can show up in sometimes how it looks in the normal life. How you can recognize these things. The poor self-care, emotional numbness, harsh inner dialogue, constant self-speak about I'm bad, I'm my body is not good enough, I have this and this. It can be really harsh. It can be really harsh, especially when I see those young people many times, and if I see that, it makes me so sad because they don't deserve like that. Nobody deserves that kind of, like, we deserve to be safe. But you know how it is. It's always life. It's life, and these things happens, and it's we are humans. We are humans. Narcissistic people sometimes they can think that they are something else than humans, and I don't, but we are humans making mistakes, and that's why it's so hard with the narcissistic people, because they never see that they do make mistakes. Or they can sometimes get that reaction, oh, I'm sorry. But it's like a fake crying. It's not even real crying. It can end suddenly. It can just it can be it's all the show. It's just a big show where everybody is a puppet. Okay, so risk-taking behavior is one thing that it can show you are taking a risks. That is not very healthy thing to do when you grow up. You just go into very risky situations. Maybe you just go do whatever. You drink, you use drugs, whatever, you game, you go with one night stands, whatever. It can be very wild risk-taking behaviors. But we have to understand why and not just blame, like, yeah, this person is woo-woo, or this person is messed up, or this or that. Why? Why is always the question. So, difficulty recognizing personal needs. Like, what are my personal needs? What I do now? Maybe I need now somebody to hug. Maybe I would need somebody to baby me, to take care of me. Sometimes even that kind of needs are not met. So there can be many needs. Because when children, this is so beautiful in healthy parenting, when children needs will be met, the children usually grow up with really good self-esteem. They can do mistakes. They can try things. They learn as from mistakes, and they know that they're loved and safe and all that. Voila. And nervous system likes that. I don't know if the nervous system likes anything, but you know what I mean. It's all about adaptation. So difficulty, like I said, recognizing personal needs. So what looks like apathy, depression, like often is unresolved pain. Many times it's unresolved pain. Also sadness, which usually feels here in the chest. We can carry a lot of tightness in here in the chest because of the very bad sadness. Some people, after being raised as a narcissistic parent, unfortunately, they become a little bit like them if they never can get those emotions away. So it can be also that you never see crying, as the narcissistic crying can be just, but the sadness can actually just show up in adult life as rage. But many doesn't know that there is sadness under that rage. But if that's all survival, all the rage, the sadness can be stuck there. So that's why some people say that person never cries. Never seen that cried on my life. Never cries. Somebody dies, never cries. Something bad happens, never cries. But the crying is very important emotions to get out. So that's why there can be so much crying and emotional chaos when you start to heal, which is very healthy. So now to Anni's favorite topic, which is neurobiological impact. I am a little bit geek when it comes to neurobiology. Okay, so psychological wounds are also biological adaptations. Did you know about that? So growing up in emotional unpredictably shapes the nervous system. It's all really about the nervous system. You could throw me a bunch of things, fatigue, dysautonomia, long COVID, this and that. I would say it's all about the nervous system. It's all about the nervous system. All right. Well, I'm not the doctor or anything, like, just a common dude. Are not even so common. Popular, for sure not. Because my channel is always, on the edge. All right. But anyway. So this growing up in emotional unpredictably shapes the nervous system, like we know. So chronic stress and the nervous system, when the child lives in unstable emotional environment, which is, of course, what is happening. In this case, the fight or flight response activates repeatedly. Repeatedly activates. Fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. All the time. It shouldn't be like that. Like, we know what other thing do that. Who knows? Hands up. Caffeine. All right. But you're going to see this is all connected. How the addictions are all connected. How the caffeine is connected to this, to everything. So, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are frequently released. So over time, what happens? The nervous system becomes hyper alert. Like hyper alert. The brain constantly scans for danger. The body struggles to return to calm. Yes. But remember, you have and you can heal from this, where you can feel safe and calm. And then you get also distance from the experience. And you can go through that. But there, of course, we're going to go there. What can help you? But I always want to take this point, because there can be people who are trying to heal from this many stuff, but they are still using some substances. And then it can mean that their nervous system can ever be in that safe place. So it could actually start to integrate the healing in that way, that it's not gonna be that yo-yo healing for the rest of your life. That's why I in personally, this is personal opinion, I keep also that is very, very important point, that you don't use any mind-altering substances. So these can, but of course, it's on their own, and I know it's not easy, and it's not like a snap a finger for many. So just always know that I meet where you are, I meet where you at, and that's how we should meet people where they are, and not put anything like it's not, everybody has their own journey, like we know. So this can dysregulate the stress system, HPA axis, leading anxiety and hypervigilance. hypervillage, and emotional shutdown or dissociation. Dissociation can also happen, which is kind of you feel distract from your body. So, or like it feels like dissociation is like you can feel that you. How would I explain English? But okay, let's say that I have this pen. I'm dissociating. I don't even remember that I had this pen in my hand. Like every people have some kind of minor dissociation moments, even in normal daily life. But the dissociation is survival mechanism also that can happen. This emotional shutdown and total dissociation if something is too much, experience is too hard, you can dissociate from that memory or that experience. So there can be also dissociated memories and emotions in our body that we don't know. There is a lot of things, emotions can be in body that you don't necessarily know. And then later, when you are safe, they can start to rise. Memories, emotions. So, what then? Rabbit swings between tension and numbness. Yeah, so there can be a lot of like feeling tension and then feeling numb, totally numb. The body learns the safety is unpredictable. So then the dopamine. Dopamine. Why I love so much dopamine now, it's because it's working right. Every people who do fall off the mountain with caffeine knows that it's the glutamate dopamine up and down. Like, it's gonna just take a while before it works right. So in narcissistic, dopamine conditional love and reward wiring. So in narcissistic parenting, approval is inconsistent. Intermittent validation activates dopamine pathways, the brain reward system. The cycle becomes approval. Okay, the dopamine spikes. Yeah, I'm approved, I'm loved, yeah. But not really loved. I wish it would be like real love, but it's just they are not capable of that. So approval, rejection, emotional crash. Rejection. Wow. No, it's harsh. These are really painful things. I just have my own humoristic way that I try to, present these things. But I know these are really hard, heavy things, and this is not anything to laugh. I really, my heart goes out with you, everyone who are. You shouldn't have experienced like this kind of stuff. Like, it's really. I know. It's my heart goes out with you. So increased effort seeking reward again, but this is how it's cool still that you understand this neurobiology, because then you get that understanding that your system is very intelligent. God did create us amazing, like it's very intelligent system. So this pattern closely resembles addiction cycles. So you seeking reward. So this child becomes neurologically wired to chase validation. It's just neurological wiring. Attachment and oxytocin confusion. So oxytocin normally supports bonding and safety. When the dogs get baby dogs, there is oxytocin. When you get the baby, there releases oxytocin. It's that kind of neurochemical that supports bonding and safety. Insecure attachment, this connection feels calming. There is a person that can help you to regulate, and in good situation, that is your parent. It's a healthy regulation. That's why when we later in the life, if we go in that unhealthy relationships after this narcissistic abuse or whatever, and it continues in the relationship, we never get that healthy regulation, what we are trying to seek, but we never get that. So that's why it's so important that you recognize that you don't go in that kind of relationships. So In secure attachment, connection feels calming, like I said. In narcissistic attachment, connection is mixed with fear, shame, or unpredictability. The brain links closeness with anxiety. Wow. This creates internal conflict. I need love, but love feels unsafe. Of course, we need love, but love feels unsafe. Wow. Never thought it in that way, really. But it's good that I have these words in the paper. English stream, Amos, yes. Kyllä, Amos, nyt ollaan englanniksi. So then we're gonna go in this addiction and the nervous system and how these all are connected to this healing. So addiction as a regulation strategy. So we have to understand this, why there are so many people, for example, in very bad situation with addictions and drugs and even street drugs, and it's usually there are things also that can be that happened them as a kid. I don't say that that's for everyone, but this why it usually can come like that. So many adults also raised in narcissistic homes develop addictive coping mechanisms such as alcohol. I put caffeine there also. Hey, I didn't know that. But yeah, you sometimes just have to dive deep. Addictive. The caffeine, of course, it's like something that many people are just addicted as a childhood anyway, even they don't have any kind of this experience. They are just addicted to that because it's so underestimated drug, like we know. And then, like, for example, me, I was just using that all my life since childhood. So alcohol, caffeine, other substances, work addiction can be there. Coming after that, relationship addiction. Yes, you can get addicted to relationship and like, yeah, many doesn't know that's very like that's happening to people. Also, porn addiction is not there, very common. That is there not always because of any kind of bad parenting. Porn addiction is just overall addiction, but it's also porn addiction is also something that can happen after this kind of abuse, narcissistic manipulation, that can lead also to porn addiction. So caffeine addiction, alcohol addiction, work addiction, all addictions, achievement, dependency, constant validation seeking, these behaviors regulate distress temporarily. Like you have to remember temporarily, if you're gonna get that relief, it helps you in the moment and it gives you that dopamine boost. But then you also, your nervous system starts to adapt with that too. So there is always a downside with that, what comes usually with time, and people doesn't necessarily then understand that. So they artificially adjust the neurochemistry. So dopamine spikes create relief. Yes. And certain behaviors suppress stress. What is the word? Suppress stress. Distraction numbs emotional pain. Yes, distraction numbs emotional pain. That's usually a lot of distraction that happens, and it can you can see that in adulthood, like you work like crazy or you just distract. You are able to do that in that way. What is really horrible, what in this caffeine crash journey for me was like, that was a different thing, but I just say it because I couldn't distract myself with anything when I was in a really bad place, because there was nothing to do when my neurochemistry didn't work and those neuro transmitters couldn't communicate. So distraction, if you are able to do that, don't look that it's a coping mechanism, but addiction becomes external nervous system regulation. So it's never a good thing when you are in addiction. So why the addiction recovery is essential for healing, and why I always say the addiction recovery is essential for trauma healing. And this is my opinion. I don't know if everybody thinks the same, but I really think it's very important, because the true healing requires internal regulation. And as long as addictive cycle continue, meaning you still use substance and you are still adapted to that, the nervous system stays in spike and crash patterns. And the fight or flight state stays. Fight or flight free state stays. So the stress chemistry remains unstable and the brain reinforces survival wiring. But then, this is ending almost this presentation, so don't worry, it's not going to be 2 hours. 2 hours lessons, nobody can listen to that. So recovery allows you this dopamine system to stabilize. Yay! We like that, because then we can have those healthy feelings of natural dopamine. When we get the natural dopamine, we have the right kind of seeking pattern again. We want to do things. We don't have that anhedonia, depression. We want to do things. We seek things, and we start to seek healthy things. When we were starting to heal and put boundaries and all that, we start to seek healthy things instead of staying in that loop, going in those old patterns and behaviors that doesn't serve us anymore as an adult. So cortisol levels to regulate naturally, it allows that. Baseline calm to become accessible. So without addressing addictive coping, the system cannot fully return to equilibrium. So this is very important. That's why I put it black. So if we don't understand these addictions, how they change neurochemistry, and of course caffeine here is the big one that many just doesn't know. They are not aware of that. That's why I share this information also in my channel, why it's so important to understand how caffeine affects the nervous system and the brain. But all addictions, it's so like good to understand why they can kind of make the healing harder if you still are using those, and how they affect your brain. So rebuilding safety from the inside, healing involves both psychological and biological change. So there are just some key elements here that I have listed. So awareness of childhood patterns. So you start to get aware, oh, that's why I have this behavior. That's what I did when I was a child. There what is come. It's not that I'm bad, or I'm bad girl, or you are bad boy. It's just what it happened. Like you have to understand that, because if you are still in that mood that you don't even know why it happened, you're just blaming yourself. I'm bad. Why is this happening? Why I cannot have any critiques? Why I cannot then it's not like you are not able to heal if you are like in that survival loop, because it's just surviving. So then learning to identify emotions. Sometimes you can also, if that's a little bit hard, if you don't know what your emotions are, meaning that you cannot name them, or sometimes you can say, I'm sad. I cry because I'm sad. It's okay to say that you're sad. I cry because I'm sad. I'm sad now. It's okay. All is well. I can cry. Or you are very happy. Sometimes it can be even that happiness are not always allowed in some families. If you are gay, like there can be all kind of weird stuff. Like not even happiness are always allowed. Like that's crazy. Like you should be, kids normally they should be happy, sad, angry, frustrated, all emotions. Like sometimes you almost like school yourself with the emotions that they are all very welcome. Frustration, angriness, fear, shame, guilt, but not that those becomes your identity. Because if sometimes the shame can become your identity, You can have a shame identity because of all that, or guilt identity. And it's a different that, okay, of course we're gonna feel guilt if I do something wrong. I know, oh, I did do something wrong. I have to forgive. I have to say I'm sorry. I have to change that I don't do that anymore. But I don't speak about that. It's something that you can carry inside of you for the things that you never were responsible of. They was never your fault in that sense, because you were a little kid or kid. How can it be your fault? So you can carry those patterns. So you learn to identify those and building those boundaries gradually. Okay, this person wants me now so bad, and she wants my attention. She wants to speak with me, but I don't have force. I cannot deal this person now. I say no, thank you. And that's healthy. Sometimes when you grow up with this kind of parenting, it can also show up that you are very needy with relationship. Like you need and this is not a bad thing. Like I don't speak about this bad. I think I just say for people that not necessarily if they don't understand this, they don't know that also some people can grow up that they become very distant. They don't even want a relationship. They just are their own. I don't need anybody. I don't want anybody. I'm good by myself. Because I don't get hurt. I don't get hurt because the narcissistic parent could be that they try to stop you having the boyfriend or girlfriend because that was threat to them. So you have kind of learned to not care about those stuff. You are not right to have those. Or if you did have those and you did go with your boyfriend or girlfriend in your home, your mother or father could be crazy, or the narcissistic person, whoever that was, they could start to act like crazy and blame them and shame them and make the situation like really horrible. And then you just feel even more shame and guilt and all that. But anyway, I just take these examples. So it can also show, like I said, like very distancing, not wanting any kind of relationship, avoiding, but also needing, people pleasing, needing so much your friend that you are just constantly, you just need everything that friend, like you need so much because your needs are not being met. And that's also just the behavior kind of that you can see. But you're building those boundaries gradually. It's a gradual process. Like I say, it's not usually happen overnight. Healing never happens overnight. When there is a deep adaptation, it's never overnight. It's not a Wikipedia 2 weeks, whatever. I don't know if there's even that kind of, but yeah, it's like this world is full of all kind of these guides and how to heal and how to be perfect and how this and that. But healing actually is painful. It's painful and it's not nice, but it's still healing. So practicing self-compassion while you are in the recovery and while it's hard, whatever kind of recovery you are, or if you are recovering from everything, all mind-altering substances and just all of this, have self-compassion for yourself, because even that you exist there now, go through the days, whatever you can do, that's enough. It is. And then if you are capable to do more and still have symptoms wherever you are, just know that it's not have to be like the healing is not perfect. It looks how it looks. It's okay. Self-compassion. So also I like the developing somatic awareness, like therapy of course can be very helpful for if you have a good therapist that understand this nervous system healing and understand narcissism. But I put TRE, I have been speaking about TRE, trauma releasing exercises, that I did do also in my caffeine-free journey, which I didn't really get help in that journey, because you need really dopamine to kind of process trauma, but I didn't know that. So but I was still doing that a little bit, but I was doing theory even before the caffeine quitting for the trauma treatment, and that can be very beneficial for some people, because it's a natural shaking mechanism that is in your body that can actually that it's not anything it's not anything like unnatural. It's in every human, every animal have shaking. If you are scared, you shake. If you go to the gym and you train your muscle shakes. That is theory. But there is also the way that you can actually, with the theory in structure, you can in safe way to use that to release those old emotions and patterns, and that should be always done with the way that you still stay grounded, that you don't go like psychotic or too dissociated or anything if too much comes out too fast. But that's a one thing that I can also help for some people with the trauma, because there are, like I said, the speaking therapy, why it doesn't always help everybody. It's because if the therapist doesn't understand that there are also emotions and feelings in our body, and that is very important part of the healing, to understand that we are just not in our mind, we also have our body. And for me personally, it helps when I study Bible, when I just pray and read the Bible. That's my personal what helps me. Then experiencing consistent safe relationships. If you have a safe relationship with somebody, it can be really helpful. But if it's not safe, then it can be opposite. Of course, it doesn't mean that the other people is a kind of a dirty bucket that you can just, how would I say, the rush your all emotions there. But it can be, if it's a safe place you to regulate, where you will be getting that healthy validation and that healthy kind of connection, and feeling safe and feeling loved and accepted. That can be very safe and good place to also heal. But we're gonna end my presentation over time. The brain rewires, neuroplasticity kicks in like always. It does every single day. Neuroplasticity happens. So the stress response soften, calm becomes familiar instead of threatening. So it's cool. Calm becomes familiar instead of threatening. The authentic self becomes clearer. So it's cool when you see that you can actually heal from this. And the growing up with the narcissistic parents, this is a conclusion for this what is that like? Summa summarum, growing up with narcissistic parents is not only a psychological wound, it's a neurobiological adaptation to chronic insecurity. Yes. What once protected the child, remember, it may limit you as an adult. Once it protects you, now you don't need it anymore. But then it did protect you, so it's all good. But the nervous system is capable of change. And this is the huge thing that nobody even really, I don't think we don't. It's so amazing. This nervous system thing is so, it should be more out there with the doctors. Nobody, if you go to the doctor, you tell, I happened to this, my nervous system did have a total reset. Like, they don't understand it. They try to put you in meds. But that's not gonna, for many people, that's not gonna help at all. Like, because the nervous system have really, like, it can able to rewire itself. And it can really, like, rewired from the zero to healthy state. So when addictive meaning that if you have a total reset, if you wonder what that did mean, I mean those people, some people have a like total nervous system crash, which can also happen with some other stuff, not just quitting caffeine cold turkey, but of course this is what I have been speaking a lot of in my channel, because that's my experience and what I have been studying all these years and helping people. But you can have a total like the nervous system crash with other things, like taking some other substances or something other happened where you just your nervous system just go in that sensitized state. But anyway, anyway, when addictive coping decreases, emotional awareness increases, and safe connections are formed, then what happens, which is pretty cool, your identity stabilizes, your boundaries will be strengthened, the body relearns safety, so your body can feel safe again. It's not have to be like, oh, danger, 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 danger. You are not the danger magnet anymore. You are just feeling cool, calm. The self emerge. So the child who adapted to survive can become the adult who feels actually safe. Wow. Wow. Yes. So then in the end of this, I wanna just read one Bible verse, because Bible is just so, I love Bible, and it's the God's word. So it's a Gospel of John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. So that's a so beautiful verse. And just know, guys, that you are very important, and my heart goes out with you. And I hope this presentation have something to somebody maybe who have had these things. And I also want to say in the end that I have been able, with help of Jesus Christ, to forgive everything that have been happening in my past. I don't say that it was easy, but it's have been possible only with help of God. So what comes to forgiveness, I would say, because it's very, I know it's very, I cannot say that this is how it, like, if it's not like so easy to forgive, but Bible speaks a lot about forgiveness, and that we should forgive, and like it helps you, even the some other person wouldn't forgive you, but if you forgive, it really helps you in your journey. Like if you are able to forgive, it doesn't mean that you have to accept what happened, or what happened, whatever that is, or you don't have to accept those things, but it's just so helpful if we can forgive, because otherwise we can become like very, very harsh, and like we can just start to, yeah, it makes us then like kind of different. If I don't know how to explain that, but it's of course it's like everyone, each of people does what they can. All right, but now I wish you a wonderful day, and just know you got this good, whoever is watching this, and hopefully this presentation did give you some kind of hope, and that you are and can be healed from this too. All right. God bless, and see you guys, and hopefully